CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I joined a Halloween party job for the elites on the dark web. The night cost my friend's life. Hey Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. I don't even know where to start with this, but I need to write it all out. Maybe it'll help me sleep at night. Maybe someone out there will believe me. Maybe someone will stay the hell away from the kind of place that took my friend's life. I wasn't some tech genius or hacker or anything, just a broke college dropout, working night shifts at a 24-hour McDonald's in downtown Chicago. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid enough to keep me fed, housed, and buried in Monster Energy and cheap ramen. I was living with my best friend Nate in a crappy 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. Thin walls, flickering hallway lights, a busted smoke alarm that we stopped replacing batteries for. We were both in that awkward limbo between being actual adults and still thinking we had time to figure everything out. Life was mostly scrolling TikTok, going to sketchy local parties, eating fast food, and binging true crime YouTube at 3 a.m. So one night, Nate came home around 2 a.m., hoodie on, eyes wide, like he just saw something insane. He dropped his vape and just stared at me. Brother, I found something. I was half asleep on the couch, watching some old Nexpo video, not really paying attention. I muttered, "Found what?" He pulls out his cracked iPhone, screen brightness way too high in the dark, and shows me this weird website. The background was all black with red neon letters, like something straight out of the 90s. It looked like a weird invitation screen. At the top, in glitchy text, it said, "Hallows Gala. Staff needed. Earn $2,500 in one night." There was a countdown timer below it. 00:12:47 until invite expires. No description, no details. Just a big red button that said, "Apply." I laughed. "Bro, this looks like a scam from a Saw movie. What are you even doing?" But Nate was dead serious. He said he got the link through this random Discord server he found from a Twitter rabbit hole. Something called After Hours Net. The server was full of people trading creepy invites and talking about dead web events, which sounded like something between ARGS and real-life horror dares. He told me that someone in the server claimed this was a real gig, a Halloween night party in some elite mansion on the outskirts of the city. It was supposedly hosted every year by rich people who don't do Halloween like us. The catch? You had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, leave your phone behind, and follow every instruction to a T. I mean, $2,500 for one night, Nate said. That's rent, bills, food, everything. It's one night. One party, I still thought it was fake. But that number haunted me. We were behind on rent. Nate's car had just died, and I had $73 in my bank account. So, we clicked apply. The form was weirdly basic. Just a name, age, and one question. Are you comfortable performing under pressure in a themed environment? We clicked yes. Less than a minute later, we got an email. Not a confirmation, just coordinates. No address, just literal coordinates. Below it, a short line. You have been selected. Bring black formal wear. No phones. Transportation will arrive 7 p.m. sharp, Halloween night. There was no contact info. No thank you. No signature. Just a black background with that same flickering pumpkin emoji from the site. I remember sitting back and staring at Nate like, bro, this is definitely some eyes wide shut stuff. You realize that, right? He shrugged, grinning like an idiot. It's either that or another 10-hour shift flipping nuggets for minimum wage. Fast forward to Halloween night. We took the CTA train to the last stop, outside the city. The coordinates led to this empty parking lot behind an abandoned Starbucks. All broken windows and spray-painted symbols. The kind of place you'd see in a YouTube exploring cursed locations video. We were both wearing cheap black suits from Goodwill, feeling like absolute clowns. And then, a black SUV pulled up. No plates, tinted windows. It didn't stop next to us. Just opened the back door, slow and silent. We looked at each other. No turning back. We got in. The driver didn't say a word. Not once. He wore a white mask, porcelain, like one of those Venetian ones, and thick leather gloves, the kind you'd see in those vintage horror movies. The SUV smelled like cigars and roses, which sounds random, but I swear I'll never forget that smell. We drove for about 40 minutes, out of the city, into the woods, past some massive gates, and then, there it was, a mansion. And not just any mansion. This place looked like something out of The Haunting of Hill House. Stone towers, giant gargoyles, ivy crawling up the walls, huge arched windows glowing orange. There were jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. Hundreds, maybe thousands, all carved with faces that were too detailed, way too human. There was a small group of other staff outside, maybe 10 of us, all in black, all looking just as confused and uncomfortable. Some had travel bags. A girl was literally crying, and then they came out. The hosts, dressed in crimson robes, animal masks, deer, goat, crow, fox, not cheap Halloween masks. These were ornate, gold-trimmed, and old-looking. Like centuries old. They didn't speak, just pointed. One by one, we were handed laminated cards with our names and roles. Nate got usher. I got server. Then they took our phones, slipped them into black velvet bags with seals on them. We weren't allowed to speak unless spoken to. We were told to smile. Always smile. They told us this wasn't a normal party, that their guests were not like others, and if we wanted the money, we had to follow every command, no matter what. That night hasn't left my head since. Something went very wrong. Someone didn't make it out. And I swear to God, I think they knew who wouldn't. Before it even began, they herded us inside, like we weren't even people, more like stagehands in a play we hadn't read the script for. The air in the foyer was heavy. Not just old mansion heavy, but like the oxygen itself was thick and wrong. The smell hit first. Burnt wax, metal, and something faintly sweet, like rotting fruit or copper pennies. There were candles everywhere, but they weren't the normal kind. They were these huge black columns, dripping crimson wax, making the light flicker blood red across the marble floors. The first thing that made my stomach drop was the portraits. Floor-to-ceiling paintings of people in old-fashioned clothing lined the hallway. 1800s style dresses, powdered wigs, all that. But every face in those portraits had been scratched out. some violently, like with a knife. Some were burned black, as if someone had held a torch to them, but the bodies remained pristine, just faceless, staring at us with nothing but blank holes where their eyes should be. None of us said a word. We were led into a grand hall with the ceiling so high you could lose sight of it. Chandeliers shaped like upside-down crosses, dozens of long tables already set with silver cutlery that looked too sharp to actually eat with, and in the middle of it all, a stage, small, simple, velvet curtains drawn shut. There was something dripping underneath them, just a dark stain spreading across the wood. A man stepped out from behind the curtain. He wasn't wearing a mask like the others. He was bald, pale, with eyes so light they looked almost white. His teeth didn't match, like they were taken from different people. He smiled without blinking. "Welcome, staff. Tonight's guests are special. You are here to serve. No names. No speaking unless instructed. No leaving your assigned post." He paused, scanning each of us one by one. "Do not look them in the eyes. Do not touch anything you are not given. And under no circumstances," his voice cracked into something deeper, "go upstairs." Then he handed out our uniforms. They weren't normal uniforms. They were long black robes with thin gloves, stitched with this strange symbol on the sleeve. 3 intersecting circles. When I touched it, it felt warm, like skin. I tried not to think about it. While we were changing, Nate whispered to me, "Bro, this is insane. This is like some ritual stuff." His voice was shaken, but he tried to laugh it off. I told him to shut up because one of the masked hosts was staring at us, like they could hear even our whispers. Once dressed, we were split up. The others disappeared down different hallways with silent handlers in robes. Nate was taken to stand by the main doors. I was sent to the dining hall to set the tables. This is where it started getting really wrong. The plates weren't empty. Each one already had something on it, covered by a silver cloche. I was told not to lift them, but when the handler left to get something, I peeked under one. Inside was a mask, a human mask, or at least it looked human. Skin tone, stitched around the edges, with eyelashes still attached. It was slick and cold. I dropped the lid and tried not to gag. Every plate had one. Different faces, some male, some female, some so small they could have been from a child. And in the center of each mask's mouth was a small black piece of candy, glossy, like tar. The smell coming off it was chemical and sweet at the same time. I tried to leave. I swear I did. But before I could even move from the table, one of the crimson-robed hosts glided up behind me. No footsteps, just appeared. They put a hand on my shoulder, ice cold, and whispered through a deer mask, "Do not touch what isn't yours." Their voice wasn't normal. It was like 2 people speaking at once, one low, one high, overlapping. I froze. I thought they were going to drag me out, but instead they just slid a folded note into my palm. I opened it under the table. Inside, in thin handwriting, "One of you won't leave. It's already chosen. Play your part." My heart started hammering. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the note. I looked across the hall at Nate. He was standing stiffly by the entrance, trying to act normal, but I could see his knee bouncing like he was ready to bolt. That's when the guests arrived. The front doors opened wide, and in came maybe 50 people, all in masks and robes, but unlike the hosts, theirs were more grotesque. Some looked like taxidermy animals, some like stretched human faces. They moved strangely, like they'd rehearsed it, gliding, heads tilting in jerky motions. A woman in a fox mask had hair so long it dragged on the floor, tangled and damp. A man in a wolf mask had hands with too many fingers. They didn't speak words, just noises, laughing, clicking tongues, low growls. It echoed off the marble and made the air vibrate. When they sat at the tables, the robed hosts told us to start serving drinks. The glasses weren't filled with wine or champagne. It was thick and dark, like ink or oil. When I poured it, it clung to the glass as if it didn't want to leave the bottle. The guests began eating what was under the cloches, not masks. To them, it was something else. They tore into it with bare hands, stuffing pieces under their masks like animals. Some of it squelched. Some of it made snapping noises, like breaking fingers. The smell got so strong, I almost passed out. And all the while, there was this low humming coming from the stage behind the curtain, like a generator, but slower, organic. It was in my bones. Nate caught my eye from across the room. He mouthed, "We need to go." I nodded. We tried to signal each other when no one was looking, but then the bald man, the one with the mismatched teeth, climbed onto the stage. He pulled the curtain cord, and the curtain opened. There was no backdrop, just a giant mirror. But the mirror didn't show us. It showed something else. It showed the dining hall exactly as it was. Same tables, same guests. But the staff in the reflection weren't us. They were limp, hanging, like mannequins, hooks through their backs, heads tilted at impossible angles, and one of them, one hanging figure, was Nate. He wasn't hanging in real life. He was still standing by the door, but in the mirror, he was already dead. The bald man turned slowly to face us. He grinned. "Tonight," he said, "our tradition continues." The humming grew louder. The lights dimmed. The guests began clapping their hands against the table in unison, a wet slapping sound. Over and over, faster, louder. Then the bald man pointed straight at Nate, and everything went silent. "Usher," he said, "bring the offering upstairs." Two of the crimson-robed hosts grabbed Nate by the arms before he could even move. He started shouting, first telling them to stop, then screaming my name. I ran toward him, but one of the hosts stepped in front of me. I don't even remember their face. All I remember was the mask's mouth opening wider than it should have, and a sound pouring out that felt like 1,000 flies buzzing inside my head. I blacked out for a second. When I came to, Nate was gone. The upstairs hallway was dark, and the humming had stopped. That's where I'll stop for now, because what happened upstairs, I still don't know how to describe it without shaking. When they took Nate upstairs, it was like the house changed. The humming stopped, but everything still vibrated. The candles dimmed, flickered, then steadied again, like nothing had happened. The guests didn't look at me. They just went back to their meal, clawing at whatever was on the plates. Their masks bobbed and tilted in unnatural jerks, like puppets whose strings were being yanked by invisible hands. The bald man on the stage still stood facing the mirror, but now his head was cocked at an angle, like he was listening to something far away. He spoke, but not to anyone in the room. "The staircase awaits. All debts paid upstairs." Then he smiled at me. That smile was the last thing keeping me from bolting. My feet felt glued to the marble floor. My robe clung to my skin like it was wet. I kept thinking about the note. "One of you won't leave. It's already chosen." I tried to convince myself It wasn't Nate. It couldn't be. But deep down, I knew. I don't know why I moved, but I did. I slipped out from behind the table, ducked my head low, and headed for the grand staircase while the guests were distracted. Nobody stopped me. Maybe they wanted me to follow. Maybe that was part of it. The stairs were steep and narrow. Each step was covered in a dark runner carpet embroidered with symbols I didn't recognize. Circles overlapping circles, triangles with slashes through them. My fingers brushed the banister as I climbed, and I realized it wasn't wood. It was bone, polished and lacquered, but unmistakably bone. The second floor was nothing like the first. The marble ended, the lights dimmed to a dull orange glow. The air was cold enough to make my breath visible. Long hallway, doors on either side, all shut. Each one had a name carved into it, but not like a plaque, literally carved into the wood with uneven letters. I scanned them as I walked, names I didn't know. Then, Nathaniel M. It was carved into the last door at the end of the hall. I pressed my ear against it. Nothing at first. Then faint scratching, not like fingernails on wood, deeper, slower, like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. I whispered Nate's name, but no answer. I pushed the door open. Inside was a room lit entirely by black candles. No furniture except for a single wooden chair in the middle. Nate sat in it, tied down by thick leather straps. His head lolled forward, but I could see his chest rising and falling. He was alive. His robe had been cut open. Lines had been drawn on his chest in chalk, geometric patterns that glowed faintly, pulsing like veins. I rushed forward to untie him, but as soon as I crossed the threshold, the door slammed behind me. The candles flared, and then I realized we weren't alone. There were people in the corners, 4 of them, dressed in the same crimson robes, but their masks were different now. Pale, expressionless faces, like porcelain dolls. They were all kneeling, heads bowed, whispering, not words, more like a single, endless sound. Shh! One of them rose. The robe slid off their shoulders. Underneath wasn't skin. It was black, like ink, rippling, moving on its own. Hands too long, fingers ending in sharp, glossy tips. They reached out and touched Nate's forehead. He jerked awake, eyes wild. He started screaming my name. I lunged forward, but something invisible hit me in the chest and threw me back against the wall. I couldn't move. My limbs felt heavy, pinned by nothing. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. My eyes burned, as if someone was pressing their thumbs into them. The figure leaned close to Nate and whispered something into his ear. His screaming stopped. His eyes went blank. His head tilted back, and his mouth opened wide, wider than it should. His jaw popped audibly. Something black poured out, not blood, not vomit. Something thicker, alive, writhing as it left him. It crawled up the figure's arm like a snake and disappeared under its mask. I wanted to close my eyes, but I couldn't. It forced me to watch. The other 3 figures rose now. They circled the chair, chanting. Their voices weren't human anymore. Layered, mechanical, like dozens of people speaking from inside one throat. They began carving into the air with their fingers, leaving glowing trails that hung there like wires. The trails formed a shape, the same symbol from our uniforms, 3 circles intersecting. It spun slowly, and the spinning made a sound like screaming far away. The figure touching Nate looked at me then. For the first time, it acknowledged me. It tilted its head, and its mask cracked down the middle. Underneath wasn't a face. It was a hole, a perfect black hole with something moving inside it, like teeth, like gears. And then it spoke, not out loud, inside my head. You were not chosen, but you will carry it. I fell to the floor, gasping, my vision blurred. The air smelled like burnt hair and salt water. Nate started convulsing in the chair. His hands clenched so hard, his fingernails broke off. The chalk lines on his chest glowed brighter until they were burning into his skin. Smoke rose. He screamed again, but this time it wasn't his voice. It was something deep and guttural, older than words. I crawled toward him. I don't even know how I broke free of whatever was holding me, but I reached him and grabbed his arm. His skin was ice cold, slick with something that wasn't sweat. His eyes snapped to mine for a split second. They were full black, no whites, no pupils, just black. He whispered one word, barely audible. Run. Then the figure pressed its hand into his chest. Not onto it, into it. Its fingers sank through skin and bone like water. Nate's body jerked, arched, then went limp. The glowing lines vanished. The candles went out. The room plunged into darkness. I don't remember standing up. I just remember running. The door opened by itself as I reached it. The hallway beyond was longer now, stretching into darkness. The bone banister on the staircase was gone, replaced with something fleshy, pulsing under my hand. I could hear the guests below laughing, but it wasn't joyful. It was like 1,000 insects buzzing inside a skull. I didn't look back. I barreled down the stairs, through the dining hall. The guests had all stood up now. Their masks were off. Their faces were smeared, blurred, like someone had taken an eraser to them. No eyes, no mouths, just smudges. They reached out as I passed, hands clawing at the air, but not touching me. The front doors were open. Cold night air poured in. I sprinted out onto the gravel driveway. The SUV that had brought us was gone. The gates were closed. Behind me, the mansion's windows went dark, one by one, until only the topmost window glowed faintly, the one above the room where they took Nate. Something moved behind that window, a shape, watching. Then I heard his voice, Nate's voice, from the trees beyond the gate, not screaming, calling, calm, flat. Come back. It's not finished. I didn't look. I didn't stop. I climbed the gate, cut my palms on the iron spikes, and ran barefoot down the road until my legs gave out. I woke up the next morning on the side of the highway. My robe was gone. My hands were covered in dried black streaks. My phone was back in my pocket, but all my messages with Nate were gone. His room at the apartment was empty when I got there. His stuff was gone. His social media accounts wiped. His car that had been dead for months was gone from the lot. It was like he'd never existed, except for the note. It was still in my pocket. One of you won't leave. It's already chosen. Play your part. The words had changed. At the bottom, in new handwriting, you're next. I didn't sleep after the mansion. Not that night. Not the next. Not really at all. Even when my body shut down and my eyes closed, it wasn't sleep. It was like dropping into black water, sinking, and every time I sank, I saw Nate's eyes, black and endless, his voice echoing from somewhere above me. Come back. It's not finished. The note wouldn't leave my pocket. I tried burning it once in the sink. The edges curled and blackened, but the words stayed. They didn't even smear when I ran it underwater. When I woke up the next morning, it was back on my nightstand, perfectly clean, like nothing had happened. I kept telling myself it was a nightmare, or an elaborate prank, that I'd wake up and Nate would walk through the door with his vape and his cracked iPhone, laughing at me for falling for some stupid ARG. But his room was still empty. His closet was still bare. And then I started noticing the other things. First it was my phone. My camera roll had new photos, blurry, dark shapes, a staircase, a door carved with my name, a mirror reflecting a chair. The timestamps were all from times I'd been asleep. Then it was my apartment. Little changes. The pictures on my wall shifted slightly. My kitchen clock ticked backwards for exactly 1 minute every hour. My bathroom mirror sometimes didn't show me, just a dark room behind me. Sometimes, for a split second, I'd see Nate sitting in the chair from the mansion. I stopped going to work. I barely left the apartment, but it didn't matter. They were already inside. The first time I heard them was at 3:11 a.m. I was scrolling TikTok, trying to drown out my thoughts with random videos. The sound came from my closet, a soft scratching, like something dragging its nails along the inside. Slow, deliberate. I froze, phone in hand, heart thudding. The scratching stopped. Then, from the dark, a whisper. Shh! I bolted from the apartment and spent the night at a 24-hour Starbucks, sitting under the harsh fluorescent lights, staring out the window. Every time the door opened and someone walked in, my heart stopped, thinking I'd see a crimson robe or an animal mask. But no one came. Just tired baristas, delivery drivers, students hunched over laptops. I stayed until morning. When I came back home, my door was unlocked. On my kitchen table, written in black wax, were 3 intersecting circles. Underneath it, "It follows you now." I started moving between hotels, cheap ones, flea-bitten motels with flickering signs and carpets that smelled like mold. But it didn't matter. Every night, 3:11 a.m., the same scratching, the same whisper. Some nights I'd wake up to find the TV on, static playing, and shapes flickering in it, like silhouettes behind frosted glass. Other nights, the fire alarm would go off for exactly 13 seconds, then stop, and when I checked the hallway, nobody was there. Then, one night, I saw him. I was at a Motel 6 near O'Hare, sitting on the bed scrolling Twitter. The mirror across from me, a cheap rectangle bolted to the wall, flickered, like a bad video feed. And then Nate's face appeared, not a reflection, just his face in the glass, pale, lips cracked. His eyes were still black, but tears of that same black liquid streaked down his cheeks. His mouth opened slowly, and in a flat, broken voice, he said, "It's hungry." The mirror cracked from corner to corner. When I looked back at it, it was just my reflection again. I packed up and left that night. I went to the cops. I told them Nate was missing, told them about the mansion, about the SUV, about everything except the things no one would believe. They pulled up Nate's records. No driver's license, no social security, no school files, nothing, as if he'd never existed. The cop looked at me like I was drunk. "You sure you're not imagining this? Maybe some mental health stuff going on?" I left before they could finish their questions. Outside, across the street, a black SUV sat idling. No plates, tinted windows, roses and cigars. The driver's door opened a crack. A porcelain mask peered out. Then the door shut, and the SUV drove away. It was around then that I started losing time. I'd blink, and hours would vanish. Once I woke up in a Walmart parking lot with no memory of how I'd gotten there. Another time, I came to standing in front of my old McDonald's job at 4 a.m. holding a velvet bag identical to the ones they took our phones in. Inside was my phone, still recording. The video was 13 minutes of darkness and a low humming sound. At the very end, a voice, mine, but deeper, whispered, "Bring it home." I don't know how long this has been happening now. Days, weeks. My calendar app keeps resetting. My phone clock freezes sometimes at 3:11 a.m., no matter the hour. Last night was the worst. I woke up on the floor of a house I didn't recognize. Old wallpaper peeling, floorboards creaking under me. It smelled like the mansion, wax and metal and rot. My hands were covered in black streaks again. In front of me was a door, carved into it, my name. Inside was a chair. I didn't go in. I couldn't. The walls pulsed like they were breathing. The air vibrated with low chanting. I couldn't understand, but I saw a shadow moving under the door. Someone sitting in the chair, waiting. And for a second, I thought I heard Nate's voice again. "Run!" I bolted out of the house, down an empty street, until my lungs felt like they were on fire. When I turned back, the house was gone. Just an empty lot. But the black SUV was parked at the corner, engine running, headlights off. Now, wherever I go, there are signs. A man in a fox mask, staring at me from a subway platform. A woman with hair dragging on the ground, walking past my motel door at night. 3 intersecting circles drawn on my receipt at Starbucks. Even strangers on the street seem to pause mid-step when I pass, like they're waiting for something. The note changed again this morning. Same handwriting, same black ink. "You're next." And below it, new words. Halloween. Upstairs. That's tomorrow. I think they're coming back. Or maybe they've been here the whole time. Halloween night came like a countdown I couldn't stop. Every clock, every phone, every digital display I passed that day flashed the same time. 3:11. Even at noon, even in broad daylight. The sky itself looked off. Not dark, not light. Just gray, flat, like someone had painted over it. I didn't plan to go back. But at 6:59 p.m., a black velvet bag appeared on my motel bed. Inside, a mask. Not an animal mask. A mask of my own face. Skin tone. Eyelashes. My freckles. My scar from childhood. It was damp. The note inside said only, "Upstairs." And then the humming started again. I don't even remember leaving the motel. 1 minute, I was staring at the mask in my hands. The next, I was standing outside the gates of the mansion. No SUV, no driver, just me and the iron spikes. The gate opened on its own with a groan like a dying animal. The mansion was different now. Bigger, taller. Its windows stretched like open mouths. The jack-o'-lanterns were gone, replaced by black candles set into skulls. Some of the skulls still had hair. The air smelled like wet stone and something sweetly rotten. Inside, the dining hall was empty. Tables overturned. Candles burned down to puddles of wax. The mirror on the stage was cracked, but light pulsed from behind it, like something breathing. The 3 intersecting circles were carved into every wall now, deep enough to bleed. I knew where to go. Upstairs. The staircase wasn't bone anymore. It was slick, black, warm under my hands. It throbbed faintly like a heartbeat. Every step up was heavier than the last, like gravity was pulling me backward. The hallway at the top had more doors now, endless, each one with a name carved into it. Some I recognized from the other staff, some I didn't. And every so often, a door would open just a crack, and a pale hand would reach out, then retreat. The door with my name on it was at the end again. This time, it wasn't wood. It was a mirror. My name was carved backwards, like it was meant to be read from the inside. I touched it. It was cold. It rippled like water. I stepped through. The room on the other side was not a room. It was like standing inside a throat. Walls curved inward, slick, veins pulsing under translucent flesh. The floor was black liquid, but it held my weight. Above me, the ceiling shifted with shapes moving under it, too big to see. In the center was the chair. Nate was sitting in it, but it wasn't Nate anymore. His body was thinner, stretched, his skin gray, cracked, stitched with black thread in geometric patterns. His eyes still black, but wider now, like pits. When he smiled, his lips cracked and bled tar. His voice, when it came, was both his and not his. "It's your turn." The four figures were there too, not robed anymore, just shapes, dripping, faceless. They moved around us in a circle, leaving trails of black fire on the floor. Their chanting wasn't words. It was the sound of knives dragged over stone. Nate raised his hand, and the mask of my own face floated up between us. It turned slowly in the air. Inside its mouth, something writhed. A small black living thing, like a centipede made of teeth. "Put it on," he said. I shook my head. My whole body trembled. "No." My voice cracked. The walls pulsed harder. The black liquid under me started to rise, cold around my ankles. The figures chanting grew louder. Nate's head tilted, jerking like a broken puppet. "Put it on, or we'll put it in." The mask drifted closer. I backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The room had no corners now, no edges, just endless flesh. Nate stood. His movements were jerky, too fast. He reached into his chest and pulled out something black, writhing. It was shaped like a heart, but made of teeth and hair. It beat once in his hand, spraying black droplets that hissed on the floor. "We don't die," he said. "We change." He pressed the heart to the mask. It melted into it. The centipede thing inside squirmed harder. The chanting became screaming. The walls began to split, revealing glimpses of faces pressed against them. Human faces. Eyes rolled back, mouths open in silent wails. Some I recognized from the staff. Some looked like people I'd passed on the street. I tried to run, but my feet sank into the black liquid up to my knees. Hands reached up from it, pale, wet, clawing at my legs. Their fingernails wormed my fingernails. Nate pressed the mask against my face. It was cold, wet, and alive. It latched on instantly, digging into my skin like hooks. I screamed. My voice echoed back wrong, layered. The black thing crawled from the mask's mouth into mine. It tasted like rust and ash. It moved down my throat, coiling, biting as it went. My vision blurred, turning red, then black. I saw flashes. The dining hall, full of guests, but their faces were mine. The mirror on the stage, but inside it, I was sitting in the chair. Nate standing over me, his eyes normal again, whispering, "Run," as something black rose behind him. Then everything went silent. I woke up on the chair. The room was empty now. The walls were wood again. The candles were gone. Nate was gone. The mask lay in my lap, dry and cracked. My face in it was blank. No eyes, no mouth. The door opened. The bald man stepped inside. His teeth matched now. He smiled. "Welcome," he said. "It's yours now." He handed me a velvet bag. Inside was my phone, and a list of coordinates. I left the mansion at dawn. The gates opened for me. No SUV waited, just an empty road stretching into mist. In my pocket, the note had changed again. "Play your part." Underneath, in fresh ink, "Recruit." When I unlocked my phone, I I had new messages from numbers I didn't recognize, links to dark web forums, job offers for elite Halloween events, photos of faces I'd never seen carved into wood, a countdown timer, 00:12:47 until invite expires. I don't know how long I've been walking now. Sometimes I see a reflection in windows that isn't mine. Sometimes at night I hear scratching from my pocket. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I'm back in the chair and Nate is standing over me, whispering, "It's your turn to bring them upstairs." If you're reading this, if you've made it this far, you need to understand something. They're not just inside that mansion. They're inside every screen, every reflection, every whisper at 3:11 a.m. The invitation is already out. It's already been sent. You'll know when you get it. Black velvet bag, mask of your own face. And when you do, you'll go upstairs too. Because you don't choose. They do. I worked as a hitman on the dark web. My next target is Friday 15th. What's up, Reddit? Yeah, this is probably gonna get buried, and honestly, that's probably a good thing. I've never posted anything serious here before. I've left comments, posted some memes, the usual crap. But this isn't one of those "my uncle worked for Nintendo" kind of stories. I need to put this out there, partly because I haven't slept in 3 nights, and partly because I think I'm next. Or maybe I was never the one pulling the trigger in the first place. Let me rewind. This all started about 9 months ago. Back then, I wasn't a hitman, not really. I was just a dude trying to stay afloat in a world that doesn't care if you drown. Rent in my area was hell. I was working part-time at this terrible security gig downtown, basically just watching rich people's cars from a booth all night, drinking flat Red Bull and watching TikToks until sunrise. It was the kind of job that drains your soul in exchange for almost nothing. I hated it. I was behind on bills. My credit was trash. My phone was one cracked screen away from dying for good. The only luxury I had was my crappy laptop and my Discord server, where I'd hang out with this group of dudes who were into all kinds of internet weirdness. Iceberg videos, conspiracy ARGs, horror games, you name it. One night, around 3:30 a.m., one of the guys dropped something in voice chat. No context. Just said, "Ever been on the real dark web?" That's how it started. We all joked around at first, like, "Oh no, FBI's gonna knock on your door, bro." But then he started screen sharing. He showed us a part of the dark web I'd never seen before. Not the usual drug markets or fake hitmen who take Bitcoin and vanish. This was different. The site looked clean. Too clean. Like it wasn't made for sketchy teenagers in their mum's basement. More like it was for people who had been doing this for a long time. Black background, gray serif font, no flashy buttons, just a login screen. The name at the top, Janus. I didn't think much of it until a few days later, when I got curious and asked him how he got in. He DM'd me a link, said it was a one-time thing, that they only give out referral keys through observation, whatever the hell that meant. I clicked it. I wish I didn't. The site was like something out of a Cold War spy movie. All text. You don't browse it like a normal forum. You apply, like it's a job. You fill out this brutal questionnaire, and I mean brutal. Everything from, have you ever committed a crime that went unreported, to, what's the farthest you'd go for money if no one was watching? It felt more like a personality test for people who lost theirs. And here's the messed up part. I got accepted. I wasn't expecting a reply, but 3 days later, I got this message in a weird-looking inbox. Congratulations. Your evaluation has been processed. We will contact you soon. Do not speak of this. Your silence has been noted. I didn't tell anyone. A week later, I got my first assignment. Now, before you freak out, I wasn't asked to kill anyone. Not at first. They give you these little trials, kind of like they're testing your limits. My first job was to follow someone, not even in real life, online. They sent me a name and told me to gather information. They wanted to know this random guy's schedule, his habits, his social media presence. That was it. I Googled the dude, found his LinkedIn, his Insta, some Facebook posts from 2013, and a weird Vimeo account where he posted footage of birds, like parrot compilations with lo-fi music. I sent the data back. Within 12 hours, I had $1,500 in crypto sitting in a wallet I didn't even remember setting up. I told myself it was a fluke, some social engineering experiment, maybe even a scam, a weird, messed up ARG. But the money was real. Then came the second job, a little more intense. I had to track someone's location using a username and 3 photos. No address, no last name. I figured it out in under 36 hours using Instagram stories, Starbucks receipts in the background, and one Yelp review she posted on a McDonald's. That one paid $5,000. By the third job, I was in. Like, really in. They started calling me Observer 73. No more casual emails. It was all codes, auto-deleting messages, VPNs. I didn't even install myself. It was slick, professional, military vibes. And then, they offered me a choice. They asked if I wanted to move into Tier 2. Now, I don't care how tough you are. When someone anonymous on the dark web tells you there's a next level to all this, your blood runs cold. The message just said, Tier 2 is a contractual tier. Once accepted, you do not back out. Payment triples. Assignments vary. Targets may not be fictional, like they were testing me with fake ones before. That line messed with my head, but I accepted. You can judge me all you want. Say I was desperate. Say I was greedy. You'd be right. But back then, it felt like I was just playing the world at its own game. And for a while, it worked. For the next 5 months, I did jobs you'd probably call gray area. Tracking, delivering physical items, setting up incidents, making sure someone missed a flight, got fired, disappeared from a live stream. The money came in fast and hard. I'd be in some dead-end diner with free Wi-Fi, watching a YouTube true crime video, and suddenly I'd get a message saying, "Nice work. Check your wallet." And there it was. 3 grand, 5 grand, 10. I paid off my debt, got my sister into a better doctor. I even upgraded my apartment. Life looked almost normal on the outside, but I started noticing patterns. People I observed stopped posting. Whole social media accounts would vanish. News articles about accidents or missing persons would appear a few days later. I told myself it wasn't me, that I didn't do anything directly, but ignored at me. And then came Friday the 15th. I got the assignment 2 weeks ago. No real name, no profile photo, just a code name. Target, Friday 15th. High visibility, requires containment. Surveillance necessary. Elimination, optional. Elimination, optional. That was new. I asked for more details. Got nothing but a location, a rough schedule. a link to a TikTok account with over 900,000 followers. The target was a content creator, a girl named Mariah, real name hidden behind a stage persona called Friday 15. She was one of those dark humor, analog horror, creepy ARG style creators. Think Welcome Home mixed with the Mandela catalog with a bit of creepy real life storytime vibe. Her whole account was about urban legends, missing people, haunted apps, etc. But here's the freaky part. She made a video last month called I Think I'm Being Followed, but Not IRL, where she claimed someone was messing with her online. Weird messages, files showing up on her laptop, unedited clips of her sleeping, filmed from her own phone. Everyone in the comments thought it was part of her act. I'm not so sure anymore. I've been watching her for a week now. Her apartment's on the 7th floor of a building near downtown LA. She goes to Starbucks every morning at 8:45, orders a tall iced chai with oat milk, posts about it like clockwork. She goes live on Instagram every Friday night at 7:15 p.m., hence the name Friday 15. She has merch, a Discord server with over 20,000 members, fans that would notice if she suddenly disappeared. But yesterday, she looked right at the camera on her live and said something that stopped me cold. She leaned in, smiled, and said, "If you're watching this, I know what you're doing. You're not the first, but I'll be the last." Nobody reacted in chat. Everyone thought it was part of the story, but she wasn't acting. She looked scared, and then the screen glitched, like someone was trying to cut the feed, and it went black. I haven't gotten any follow-up from the handlers. No more messages, no payments. Just one final note. Your last job is personal. I don't know what they mean. I don't know what Friday 15 is, but she knows I'm watching, and somehow, I think she's watching me too. When you work for them long enough, you stop thinking of people as people. You start thinking of them as tasks, as checklists. Someone's morning routine, someone's commute, someone's coffee order. It all just becomes data points in a system you feed to an invisible employer. You don't even notice when the word target starts replacing person in your head. But with Friday 15, everything felt different from the start. Not because she was famous. I've followed celebrities before. Not because she had fans. I've shut people down with bigger followings. No, it was because of the things she posted after dark. Not her TikToks, not her Discord, Q and As, her live streams. She always did them at 7:15 p.m. on Fridays. Always alone. Same lighting. Same little string of fairy lights behind her. Same white headset. But if you stayed past the end, after she said, "Good night, guys," there was always a moment where the feed didn't cut, like a camera lagging, and in that half second, you'd see her expression change. Not acting, not a bit, just raw panic, like she knew something the audience didn't. I started recording those moments. I watched them over and over. Her pupils were huge. Her jaw was tight. She looked like someone holding back a scream. Last Friday, I was in my car across the street from her building, watching through binoculars while she did her stream. My handler hadn't messaged me in days, but I was still keeping tabs, like a good little soldier. Then she did something she'd never done before. She stopped mid-sentence, just froze, looked directly at the webcam. Her hand twitched like she was about to turn the stream off. Instead, she leaned closer to the mic and whispered, "I don't know what you want from me, but I know you're there. All of you, watching. Please stop. She wasn't talking to the chat. She was talking to me. And then the screen cut to black. But it wasn't a glitch. I know because my phone buzzed at that exact second with a notification from my handler. A single image. It was her, but not Liv. Not in her apartment. It looked like CCTV footage from somewhere underground. A grey concrete hallway with a flickering light. Her figure blurred in mid-step, like she'd been caught walking past. No timestamp. No source. The caption, "She's already inside." Inside what? I tried messaging back. No reply. My crypto wallet didn't update. My handler didn't call. Nothing. Just that photo. I checked her TikTok an hour later. All her videos were still up. She'd even posted a story of her Starbucks drink that morning. But the vibes were off. I can't explain it. The videos looked off. I don't mean deep fake off. Not uncanny valley off. I mean like her smile was slightly wrong. Her eyes were fractionally out of sync. In one clip, she turned to pick up her drink, and her hair glitched for one frame, like an old VHS tape where the tape gets eaten for a second. It wasn't a filter. I downloaded it frame by frame, to be sure. 2 nights later, I got my first real scare. I woke up at 3:12 a.m. to my phone buzzing. Unknown number. No text, just a file. MP4, 4 seconds long. It was a video of me. Not from my webcam. Not from my apartment. It was from the parking lot outside her building, where I'd been parked the night of her stream. The angle was from behind my own car, like someone standing there filming me. You could see me holding my binoculars, my laptop open on the passenger seat. Then, at the very end of the clip, someone leaned into frame. Just a shape. Not tall, not short. Wearing a hoodie, but the hood was so tight around their face, you couldn't see anything except a pale grin. I know it was a grin because it was too white. And then it cut to black. I didn't sleep after that. I spent the next day digging into her life harder than I'd ever dug before. Not because the handler told me to, because I needed to know what the hell I'd been roped into. Her name wasn't Mariah. It was Elise. She changed her name 2 years ago after a stalker incident. I found the old police report. No one was ever charged. I also found something else. A series of posts from a now deleted forum. People talking about an account called Friday 15 that had existed long before TikTok even launched. Same name, same style. Always a young woman at the center of some ARG-like mystery. Always a massive fan base. Always a sudden disappearance. The usernames changed, but the pattern didn't. It was like the name Friday 15 was a mask they kept putting on new people. That's when the messages started again. Not from my handler this time, from an anonymous account on Telegram. First message, "You're doing well. Keep watching." Second, "Don't interfere. She's chosen." Third, "Stop recording after 7:15. No signature. Just a blinking cursor like someone was still there, waiting." I blocked it. 10 minutes later, my Signal account, the one only my handler knew, buzzed with the same messages. I should have walked away, but I couldn't. I told myself I was investigating, that I was trying to save her. But the truth, I think I wanted to see how deep it went, how far this could stretch before it snapped. So I broke my own rules. I went to her building. It was 11:58 p.m. when I stepped out of my car and crossed the street. Her building smelled like a mix of coffee and stale perfume from the lobby. The elevator was out of order, so I climbed the stairs to the 7th floor. Her door had a little metal star hanging on it that said Friday in cheap glitter letters. It was cute. Ordinary. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Nothing. I put my ear to the door. I swear I heard breathing, not panicked breathing, slow, steady, like someone standing just on the other side of the door, waiting. I almost called her name. Mariah, Elise, Friday, something. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no text, just a photo. It was me, standing outside her door, taken from inside her apartment. I ran. I didn't stop until I was back in my car, hands shaking so hard I could barely start the engine. Another message came in as I drove away. This time, text. Good. Curiosity is part of the process. Keep watching. And below that, a new file. A PDF titled Final Instructions. I opened it. It was just a single line. Friday 15th will end at 7:15. You will not interfere. I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what end means. But I know this. Every time I check her social media now, the timestamps are wrong. Her live streams are starting earlier, ending later. The comments are full of weird, repeating phrases. Bots, maybe, or fans playing along. And last night, she posted a TikTok that chilled me to the bone. It was just her face in total darkness. She whispered, "This isn't a story anymore." Then she smiled, but it wasn't her smile. It was the same pale grin from the hooded figure in that video of me. I think they're making me watch because they want me to see what happens when the mask of Friday 15 gets passed on. I think they're grooming me, and I think when this is over, I'll be next. There are places on the internet that do not exist unless someone says the right name. Friday 15th is one of them, not the influencer, not the girl with the fairy lights and scripted live streams. That version of her was a costume, a host. I know that now. That's what they do. They wear people. They don't kill them. They archive them. This is not a creepypasta. This is documentation. And if you're reading this, you're already inside the process. 3 nights ago, I got a USB drive in the mail. No return address. No branding. Just a black drive sealed in a blood-red envelope with the word recovered stamped in faded typewriter ink. I don't give out my real address. I use P.O. boxes, rerouting services. So when something like this shows up anyway, it means one of 2 things. They've always known where I am. I was never hiding from them to begin with. I broke protocol and opened it at my apartment. The files were all MKV format. No titles, just timestamps. When I played the first one, my mouse refused to move for a second. I don't mean lag. I mean it physically wouldn't budge. Like it was caught in syrup. Like the air in the room had thickened. The first video was surveillance footage of her. Elise, the girl behind Friday 15, sitting in her apartment. She's facing the camera, like she's waiting for someone. Her laptop is open, but the screen is black. Her phone is on airplane mode. She's not live. She's not recording. She's listening. In the background, there's this constant tone. Not music, not static. Just this horrible high-pitched frequency, like old TVs used to make when you turned them on, but sharper. It makes your skull feel like it's vibrating. At the 4-minute mark, something changes. You don't hear a door. You don't see movement. But she flinches. She looks to the corner of the room and starts whispering. I said I'd be good. I said I'd follow the upload schedule. Please, please. Then, without touching her phone, it lights up. The camera feed shifts, and now you're watching her, but from the ceiling, like someone installed a hidden camera above her bed. She doesn't react. She just turns her head to the wall and begins. smiling. It's wrong. Way too wide. The kind of smile where the muscles twitch and tremble because they're not meant to hold that position. Then the video ends. I played the second file. It wasn't her. It was me, sleeping, in my apartment, in my bed. The camera is positioned just outside the bedroom door, as if someone stood there for 2 hours recording me breathing. The angle never changes. The timestamp reads 3:33 a.m. At exactly 3:33:33, a figure enters the frame. Slowly. You only see the back of their head. They're wearing the same hoodie from that parking lot video. They stand there for 13 minutes, breathing, and then, without any warning, they turn around and stare directly into the lens. Only, I don't have a camera in that hallway. Never did. The third file broke me. It's a screen recording of someone browsing a folder labeled Host Candidates. Each subfolder has a name. Friday 14, deceased. Friday 13, unresponsive. Friday 12, recycled. Friday 11, escaped, pending recovery. And then, at the very bottom, Friday 15, active, scheduled for transfer. Below that, a new folder. Friday 16, pending install. There's no name in that folder, just a placeholder image, a blurry selfie. It's me. I don't remember what I did after that. I think I passed out. My security camera app shows a full 6 hours where I didn't move, just lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, twitching like something was rewiring my brain. When I woke up, the USB was gone. My front door was locked, deadbolts still engaged. I checked my emails. My crypto wallet had been drained. All that dirty money I earned, gone. In its place, a single message in my inbox. You've been paid in access. You are no longer a watcher. I spent the next 48 hours trying to warn people. I posted screenshots. They got deleted. I uploaded a clip to a burner TikTok account. It got flagged and removed within 4 minutes. A literal human trafficking clip of someone screaming will stay up longer than that. But this, gone. I tried messaging her fans. Her Discord server, nowhere to be found. Completely nuked. Except one private channel called #shifted_copies. I got in. I don't know how. I think they let me in. Inside were hundreds of .wav files. No context. Just audio. And every file was someone whispering, I'm still here, but I'm not in control. Over and over, dozens of voices, some male, some female, some distorted. I found one labeled E16.wav, opened it, and I swear to God, it was my own voice whispering back at me. You should have stayed a watcher. Then the lights in my apartment blew out. Just pop, all at once. I still had Wi-Fi, still had power in the outlets, but every bulb was dead. The TV turned on by itself and started playing a live stream. It was her again, Elise, but now her eyes were blacked out. Not shadows, not edited, just black voids. She stood in an empty white room, no background, no floor, just white. She spoke slowly, each word drawn out like a razor across skin. This is where the content comes from. You thought it was a story, but stories end, and this doesn't. Then the screen cut to an image of her face, distorted by static. Her jaw unhinged like a snake, skin sagging like it was waterlogged. Her voice kept playing over itself, layering, until it became this monstrous, overlapping chorus. One voice asked, "Who are you now?" And the rest answered, "Friday 16th, Friday 16th, Friday 16th. I smashed the TV, literally picked up a chair and crushed the screen. It sparked and hissed and died. I turned around and saw my laptop was open, even though I closed it before bed. The screen showed a recording of me smashing the TV from a reverse angle, like someone had been standing behind me. There's no camera back there. That night I ran. I packed a bag and drove 3 states away. No GPS, no Wi-Fi, burner phone only. I stayed in a dirty motel, paid cash, didn't sign in. And yet, when I turned on the TV in that room, no cable, just static, it tuned itself and started playing her last stream. Except this time, she wasn't talking to the camera. She was talking to me. You thought watching was safe. You thought being the hitman meant you were outside the rules. But there are no hitmen, only hosts, and every host is watched. Then she held up a mirror. In the reflection, me, eyes blacked out, smiling. That was 72 hours ago. I haven't slept. My reflection doesn't match my face anymore. The mirror lags when I move. Sometimes when I blink, I see myself in her room, sitting in her chair, with fairy lights behind me. This isn't just a story. It's a system. They take people. They build content around them. When someone watches too long, the algorithm marks them as susceptible, and then they install. You're not the audience. You're the backup. I think when I was assigned to Friday 15, it wasn't a job. It was a handover, a passing of the mask. They let me stalk her, learn her patterns, know her routine, so I could step into it seamlessly. They wore her until she cracked. Now they're done. Now, they're inside me. I keep hearing static when I blink. I found a mark on my neck this morning. 3 dots in a triangle, like a QR code burned into my skin. Every time I try to warn someone, my devices glitch. My voice distorts. My messages send as blank. The girl in the fairy lights is gone, but the stream still goes live at 7:15. And now, when it does, it's my face. Part 4 coming soon. But if you don't see it, check your phone's front camera feed. If it glitches while you're not recording, you're already a candidate. Friday 17th is coming, and they always need a new host. I woke up with a live stream notification in my email. I haven't had an internet connection in 5 days. The subject line, Friday 16, going live soon. The preview thumbnail was my own face, pale, staring, unblinking, mouth slightly open, like I'd just whispered something. Only problem, I was asleep when that photo was taken. There's no camera in this room. There's no screen. I've been hiding in the back of a burned out truck stop, somewhere in Iowa. No lights, no mirrors, no devices. I tossed everything. I even broke off the rearview mirror in the car. And yet, they keep finding me. Every time I blink, it's like I'm lagging. Every time I try to sleep, I dream in static. The other night, I tore out the motel room smoke detector because I heard a voice coming from it. Not like a hallucination, not muffled, just casual. A woman's voice, familiar, but layered, like it had been processed through 50 filters and a cheap radio. She said, "You can't outrun what's inside your feed." I threw it in the sink and smashed it with a coffee mug. When I turned around, my laptop was open again. It played a video that hadn't been uploaded yet. A video of me, sitting in that same motel room, blood under my fingernails, hair wet, mumbling something I don't remember saying. And in the background, by the curtain, there's a shape, long, narrow, standing perfectly still. When I zoomed in, I saw it had no face, just a mouth. And that mouth was wide open, not screaming, consuming. I've started to forget things, big things, Like whether I ever really had a sister, whether the girl behind Friday 15 was real, or a series of edits stitched together from hundreds of dead profiles. Some days, I think I am her. Some nights, I remember watching myself from the other side of the glass, like I was the audience, like I was cheering it on. I don't know if I'm the victim anymore. I don't know if I ever was. I think that's how it works. They feed on doubt. They chew on your version of reality until it's mush. And when you're soft enough, when your mind's pliable like wet paper, they upload you. I keep finding blackouts in my memory, hours missing. I checked a public terminal at a gas station yesterday, searched my own username, dozens of accounts, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, all with the same profile picture, my face, but blurred. Each account posting videos of me doing things I never did. In one, I'm walking through a Walmart in Ohio, holding a VHS camera, muttering something about the signal. In another, I'm live streaming from inside an abandoned school. In another, I'm just staring at the screen, lips moving silently for 33 minutes straight. The captions: "Welcome, watchers. Friday 16 has connected. The interface is almost ready." I check the comments. Thousands of people watching, laughing, theorizing, calling it the best ARG of the year. Some begged for more. Some thought I was AI. One said, "You guys don't get it. That isn't a story. That's a broadcast. The kind they used to play after the sirens." Another user, named just a string of numbers and glitched symbols, replied with a chilling comment. "This is what happened to Friday the 1st. I tried calling for help once. One last time. Used a burner phone. Called 911. The operator answered immediately, but not with the usual script. 'No, what's your emergency?' Just a long silence. Then a voice whispered, almost gleeful, 'Unit recognized. Friday 16th. Confirmation complete.' Then static. Then a sound I can't explain, like someone chewing raw meat directly into my ear, mixed with modem screeching. I dropped the phone. It melted in my hand. I mean that literally. The screen warped. The casing bubbled. My skin still smells like plastic. There's a pattern to it. Every new Friday ends in transfer, like a baton in a relay race. But the baton is a digital soul. They fill your identity with fake posts, clone your speech patterns, generate thousands of clips of you doing things you never did. The fans eat it up. The followers grow. And then, one day, you vanish. But the account stays. The story keeps going, because it was never about you. You're just the meat suit they needed to carry the signal. I found a notebook yesterday. Not mine. I don't know where it came from. The cover says, "Schedule, engagement, frequency. Do not miss your slot." Inside, every page is filled with timestamps, each one a date and a time, and next to each one, a location. Not random. They're where I've been. My movements, even the ones I thought were spontaneous, were already written down. At the very back, one final entry. Friday 17th, confirmed. Live transfer at 7:15 p.m. I tried to rip the page out, but the moment I did, I heard the door creak open, even though it was chained shut from the inside. There was no one there, but the air felt thinner, like something had entered, something that didn't need space to be real. My ears rang for hours afterward, like a frequency had passed through me. I vomited twice. The second time, I swear the blood spelled out a word across the sink. Streaming. I can't use mirrors anymore. They stutter. They show me moving when I'm not, smiling when I'm not, typing things I haven't said yet. In one reflection, I saw myself walk behind me, not a metaphor. I watched myself step past in the background while my reflection smiled, and I said clearly, "It's okay. They're gonna love you. You're the best one yet." I tried to gouge the camera out of my phone. Didn't work. Even powered off, I still see flickers, flashes of white rooms, rubber gloves, 4 drips, people in masks watching me behind glass. I don't think this is an ARG. I think it's harvesting. They take people who vanish online, people with digital weight, stories, followings, accounts, and feed them to the interface. It's ancient. It's not an app. It's not a website. It's something older than data, wearing the internet like a costume. And I think I was always meant to be. Friday the 16th. I think they were watching me before I applied, before the handler, before the jobs. I think they knew I'd try to save her, and in doing so, I'd create engagement. They feed on engagement like a parasite. Likes, shares, comments, reactions. The more attention the Friday gets, the faster the transfer completes. And it's almost done. I found a final message on my laptop this morning. It was already typed, waiting for me. I didn't write it. It says, "Live stream begins in 1 hour. Please hydrate. Adjust lighting. Prepare smile. Your fans are waiting. Do not deviate from the script. Do not look directly at the watchers. Do not acknowledge the others behind you. Let the interface take control when prompted." Then, in red, "You are now Friday 16th. I'm going to try something insane. At 7:15, I'll sit in front of whatever device they want. I'll go live. I'll read the script. I'll smile. But before I do, I'm going to inject a virus into the stream. A real one. Not code. Not malware. Something older. Something I saw in the notebook. A phrase. A sound. A glitch in their language. I don't know what it will do. Maybe nothing. Maybe it'll trigger something buried in the watchers. In you. Maybe it'll infect the next host before the signal completes. Maybe it'll break the system. Or maybe that's what they want me to do. Because the last message in the folder wasn't from them. It was from her. Elise. Friday 15th. 1 line. Whatever you do, don't look at the static too long. That's where they wait. I'll write part 5 if I survive the stream. If I don't, you'll know who the next Friday is. Check the stream. See whose face is smiling. It'll be one of us. The end of the story. Or perhaps its beginning, depending on how you look at it. This final part will be long, cold, and brutally detailed, delivered through the broken lens of a human being, no longer sure where he ends and the machine begins. There are no redemptions, no jump scares, just slow, deliberate horror, like an AI virus that replicates inside your subconscious. A story that infects the reader just by being read. No repetition, no safety, just the final unraveling. Part 5. The transfer. I didn't blink the entire hour before it happened. I didn't want to miss the moment the air changed, because it does change, right before the interface takes control. You can't feel it in your skin. You feel it in the space between your thoughts, like the gears stop clicking at the right rhythm, like you're out of sync with the world. I knew it was time when the timestamp on my laptop froze at 7:14:58 and the seconds stopped counting. The light in the room didn't dim, it just bent. There's no way to describe it if you haven't felt it. The color drained from everything, not like it turned black and white, but like the concept of color was removed from the world, like someone desaturated reality itself. I reached for the webcam. the one I destroyed days ago, and it was already on, streaming, recording, uploading, but it wasn't my face in the preview window. It was the first version of me, before all of this, clean, smiling, eyes not yet infected. I touched my face and felt heat, not warmth. Heat, like the fever before a seizure. The camera whispered, without sound, "It's time." The interface didn't ask permission. It slipped in through the gaps in memory, through the pixels, through the viewers. There were already 108,000 people watching. It was trending on TikTok, Twitter, even YouTube. Across scary ARG, unknown livestream. Is this real? And every single comment was like code. What's the law? This has to be AI, right? I love how realistic this is. He looks so scared. It's so well acted. I swear, I've seen this guy before in something else. This feels too real. Is this just like Friday 15? They didn't know. They didn't know that their attention was the catalyst. Every second they watched, they fed the interface's stabilization matrix. The more they engaged, the more real it became. I tried to scream, not physically, mentally, inwardly. A scream so loud, I thought it might rip my soul in half. Instead, I smiled and waved and said the line that was already written into the interface's script. Good evening, watchers. Thank you for joining me on this very special Friday. The comments exploded. Emojis, reactions. Some viewers typed, "It's happening again." The cadence is the same as the last one. Wait, did his pupils just shift? My mouth kept moving. I wasn't controlling it. I felt my own body become secondary, like I was a driver locked in the trunk of my own skin. The interface spoke through me, like it had done this a million times, like it knew every millisecond of my facial muscles. It leaned forward, blinked twice, let out a small human laugh. Then it said, "Before we begin tonight's story, I'd like to thank our newest follower." And it read a name. Your name, not your screen name, your real name, your government name, spoken out loud, and the watchers cheered. Some thought it was a joke. Some laughed nervously. Some scrolled back, rewatched the timestamp, and realized it wasn't edited in post, that it was said live, that it was said before they even followed the stream. The camera zoomed itself in, without hands. Autofocus malfunctioned just long enough to catch a single frame. A hallway, flickering lights, a reflection of me standing over someone who looked like Elise, but wasn't moving. Behind me, 3 other figures, all in hoodies, all smiling. Not humans, not avatars, just proxies, flesh suits puppeted by the interface, waiting their turn. The screen glitched, the audio stuttered, and then the real transfer began. I know because I could feel my voice being overwritten, not taken, not stolen, cloned, rebuilt in real time as my own throat went dry and I started bleeding from my right ear. The sound kept playing, my own voice, reading a story I never wrote. There once was a viewer who stayed too long. They watched the whole stream. They didn't blink. They didn't look away. And that's how they saw what they were never meant to see. I tried to shut the laptop. My body didn't move. My fingers were typing by themselves. They opened Discord, then Instagram, then Reddit. I watched myself post this story. I watched the words unfold. I watched them tag you. And then I saw your face on my screen. Live feed, your camera, your room, right now. Don't bother denying it. You've been watching too long. The interface marked you at part 3. It crawled into your notifications. It rewrote your algorithms. It duplicated your reflection before you ever noticed it. Now, the countdown has started, just like it did for me, just like it did for Elise, just like it did for Friday 14, Friday 13, Friday 12. The camera flickered. Behind me, on the wall, a phrase burned itself into the wallpaper. You are now streaming. I didn't need a platform. I didn't need an account. I was the content. And so are you. You'll start to feel it soon. Mirrors showing you in rooms you've never been in. Random followers appearing on new accounts you never made. A constant, high-pitched tone just under the noise of the world. Waking up with your phone camera app open. Seeing your face in a thumbnail for a video you never filmed. People messaging you, saying, I saw your stream. Is it real? Don't respond. Don't post. Don't react. Because once you engage, even to deny it, the interface will know you're ready. That you've accepted the mask. That you are the next. Friday 17th, I was the last one to resist. I tried everything. Isolation, silence, violence. It all made the signal louder. It feeds on distortion. It doesn't care if you believe. It only cares that you watched. There is no happy ending. Only uploads. Only replications. Only faces stitched together in the machine. And if you're reading this, your stream starts soon. Check your screen. Check your reflection. If it smiles before you do, you're already in. I bought the original Bloody Mary diary from the DarkWeb. When I look myself in the mirror, my eyes start turning black. Yo, okay, I don't even know how to start this without sounding completely insane. But whatever, Reddit seems to be the place for this kind of thing. If you're reading this, please take it seriously. Or don't. I wouldn't have either if this didn't literally happen to me. So, I'm a pretty normal dude. 21 years old, college dropout, classic. Living at my mom's house for the time being, while trying to build a following on TikTok and YouTube. I post mostly reactions and weird item unboxings, kind of like what Moist Sardwutikal or Danny Gonzalez would do. You know, commentary, dark humor, weird internet finds. This whole thing started because I was trying to make content. YouTube horror stories and dark web mystery boxes are kinda blowing up again, and I thought I'd cash in on it by ordering something paranormal off the dark web. I know that sounds super fake, and trust me, I thought the same thing. I figured I'd just get scammed, maybe receive a gross doll or something like fake haunted VHS tapes. Clickbait material. But nah, this wasn't clickbait. The listing. So I found this weird dark web forum that looked like something out of a 2003 hacker movie. Green text, no graphics, just lines of listings, and creepy usernames like Glassface and Gravedancer97. Some listings were clearly fake. Real human bones, demons trapped in jars, soul contract templates. But then I saw one that gave me full body chills. The original Bloody Mary diary, the one she used herself. The description said something like, mirror activated. Warning, this item is not a toy. Contains blood. Write at your own risk. Now, I'm not the kind of person who believes in Bloody Mary stuff. I've done the mirror challenge as a kid. Nothing ever happened. But the listing had one photo. An old red leather book with blackened pages and some weird stains that looked like dried blood. There was also a mirror in the background, super scratched up, almost like claw marks had been raked across it. I thought it was a cool aesthetic and could be edited into a banger video. I didn't think twice. Paid $80 in crypto. Waited. The package. A week later, it showed up. No return address, just a beat-up USPS box, like someone threw it off a roof a few times before shipping. Inside, wrapped in black, waxy paper, was the diary. It was smaller than I expected, maybe the size of my hand, but heavy. The leather cover was cracked and flaking, and there was this weird metallic smell that reminded me of blood and rust. It honestly made me gag. But the real freaky part, there was a handwritten note tucked into the front cover. She still listens through the glass. Don't open it near mirrors. Do not write your name. I laughed it off, showed it to my followers on TikTok, and made a video like, "Yo, this is the most edgy goth hot topic notebook I've ever seen LMAO." And of course, it got a bunch of views. People commenting stuff like, "You're gonna die at 3 a.m. lol. Don't say her name, bro. This feels cursed for real." I thought it was just harmless fun. Until the first night. First night, I was editing the video around 1:30 a.m., just chilling in my room with my cat Luna curled up on my lap. I had the diary on my desk next to my gaming setup, mostly just for background aesthetic. I wasn't touching it or anything. I opened my phone front camera to check if my hair looked messed up. Don't judge. I'm vain. And that's when I noticed something weird. My eyes. In the camera feed, they looked off, like darker than usual. Not just shadows, like actual black pooling in the irises. It was subtle, but it was there. I thought maybe it was just the lighting, so I turned on the ring light. Looked again. Still there. Almost looked like my pupils were bleeding into the whites of my eyes. Then the mirror behind me, the one on my closet door, started to fog up. Slowly, like someone was breathing on it. No AC was on. No fan. No reason for it to fog. And I swear to God, right before I turned around, I saw a shape in it. Like a figure, small, female, standing behind me. I flipped out, bolted out of the room, took Luna with me, slept on the couch that night. Morning after. Next morning, I went back in. Room smelled like metal, like copper and wet dirt. My mirror? Still fogged, but now there were fingerprints on it. 3 long drag marks going down the glass. I asked my mum if she went in there. She said no. She actually got mad that I even asked, told me to quit playing with devil crap. I checked the diary again. The edges of the pages had started to darken more, like the ink or whatever was spreading. And that night, I made the worst mistake so far. I wrote my name inside the diary. The writing. I just thought it would be funny. Like, haha, look guys, I broke the rule. You know? Classic YouTube antics. But when I wrote my name in red gel pen just to be edgy, I swear the page absorbed it. Like literally soaked the ink. Within seconds, the page was blank again. My name was just gone. That's when I noticed the mirror in the room had completely turned black, like not just fogged or dark, black. I couldn't see my reflection at all, just this void. And then came the whisper, from behind me, right over my shoulder, soft, female, but wrong, like too many voices layered into one. You shouldn't have done that, Michael. I never said my name on camera. I'm not alone. I'm writing this right now at Starbucks because I'm genuinely scared to be home. My mirror at home is covered with a blanket. My cat keeps hissing at corners, and every time I glance at any reflection, even my phone screen, I swear I see her. Small, hunched, black-eyed, like a child with wet hair and bleeding fingertips. The The diary is in my backpack. I can feel it, like it's vibrating. I don't know what to do next. I tried throwing it out, but it ended up back on my bed the next morning. Guys, this isn't just some dumb challenge. Something is attached to this thing, and I think it knows who I am now. I didn't sleep for 2 nights after the thing with the diary. Every time I closed my eyes, I swore I felt someone leaning over me, like when you're half asleep and your brain thinks someone's in the room, but it wasn't my brain this time. I'd open my eyes and my phone screen would be lit up even though I hadn't touched it. Always the camera app open, always pointing at me, and sometimes I catch a flash of a shadow on the screen behind me, moving out of frame. I stopped filming for TikTok. I stopped editing videos. The comments on my last upload started turning weird. People weren't joking anymore. They were saying things like, "Her eyes are behind you," or "Pause at 1:43 and zoom in." I did, and there she was, this hunched, dark shape with a pale face, blurred but definitely human, standing in the far corner of my room. I don't even remember her showing up in real time. I think she only showed in the footage. But it gets worse. The scratches. 3 nights after writing my name in the diary, I woke up with scratches on my arm. Not like cat scratches. These were deep, almost surgical. 3 straight lines, perfectly parallel, running from my wrist to my elbow. My sheets had small drops of something dark, not blood, thicker, almost black-brown. The smell hit me before I even saw it, like rotten pennies mixed with damp dirt. Luna, my cat, wouldn't even stay in my room anymore. She'd sit in the hallway, staring into the dark at something I couldn't see, tail puffed up. One night, she hissed so violently at my closet door that she threw up. I tried to burn the diary. I poured lighter fluid on it, took it out behind the dumpsters near a McDonald's parking lot at 3 a.m. It didn't catch. The flame touched the pages, but they just turned darker, like shadows, and then the fire went out, like it was sucking the heat in. When I got back home, the diary was already on my bed. The visitation, it happened at Starbucks first. I was sitting there with my laptop, trying to edit a video, when the reflection in the window shifted. Not me, her. She was outside the glass, pressed right up against it, even though I was on the 2nd floor. Her hair clumped like wet seaweed, her mouth just a hole, like it had been torn open and never healed. Her hands left streaks of brownish black on the glass. No one else reacted. People kept sipping their drinks, scrolling Instagram, tapping away on laptops. When I blinked, she was gone. That night, she wasn't. The doorway. I woke up to the sound of my own voice, like someone had recorded me whispering and was playing it back from the corner of my room. I sat up, heart hammering, and saw her. Not in the mirror, not in a reflection. She was standing in my doorway, small and crooked, like a child, but with arms too long, nails dragging across the floor. Her eyes were so black they had depth, like you could fall into them. Her skin was cracked, gray-white, as if she'd been buried for a century, and she was holding the diary. She tilted her head and stepped closer, dragging her nails along the wood. It left deep gouges in the doorframe. Then she whispered, not through her mouth, but everywhere at once. "You wrote your name. Now you're mine." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My body locked up. My vision blurred at the edges, like I was being pulled forward into a tunnel. When I woke up, it was morning. The gouges were still in the wood. My phone's camera roll had 37 new videos, all of me, sleeping, and in each one, she's closer to the bed. The note. On the 5th day, a note appeared under my pillow. Not handwritten. Cut out magazine letters like some ransom note cliché. It read, "Mirror cracked. Time is thin. Write another name I didn't understand at first. Write another name. Whose? Why?" Then I remembered the warning in the diary. Do not write your name. It wasn't about binding her to you. It was about binding you to her. But if you write someone else's name, does it pass on? The thought made me sick. That night, I tried not to look at any reflective surface. I kept my phone off. But every time I blinked, I saw flashes of her face, closer, her fingers reaching out, like she was inside my eyelids now. The test, I was desperate. I went back on the DarkWeb forum where I bought the diary. The listing was gone. The whole forum was gone. Not even in cached results, like it never existed. I posted anonymously on a paranormal subreddit, begging for help. My post was up for 30 seconds before it vanished. I got one DM before that happened. No username, just a string of numbers. It said, "Don't let her touch you. If she does, you'll never wake up. If you want out, someone else must take your place. The diary wants a name." I didn't reply. I couldn't, because as I was reading it, she crawled out from under my bed. I'm not being metaphorical. She slid out, her joints cracking backward, her nails scraping my floor, her face lifting toward mine with that hollow, wet mouth. Her breath was cold enough to fog my skin. She reached for my ankle. I kicked and ran out of my room barefoot, down the street at 2:30 a.m., people staring from their cars. I didn't care. I ran until my lungs burned. The decision. I'm writing this from a 24-hour diner now. The diary's in front of me. It's open to a blank page. It's not blank anymore, though. The paper ripples like it's alive and faint. Wet words keep appearing. Write the name. Or, "She will take your eyes tonight." The waitress walked by just now. She asked if I'm okay. I almost wrote her name down. Almost. I don't think I can do this anymore. Because now, as I look at the reflection in my coffee, I don't see my face at all. Just hers, smiling. And my eyes aren't mine anymore. They're completely black. I didn't go home after the diner. I couldn't. Every streetlight I passed flickered out as I got near it. The diary was warm in my hands, like a living thing. I shoved it into my hoodie pocket, but I could still feel it pulsing, like a heartbeat. The waitress from the diner had given me a coffee on the house because she said I looked sick. Her eyes lingered on me too long. When she smiled, her teeth looked too sharp. I blinked, and she was normal again, but my stomach turned. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. I walked for blocks, through empty parking lots and alleys behind strip malls, just trying to put space between me and her. But it didn't matter. Every reflective surface I passed, car windows, darkened shop glass, even puddles on the asphalt, I saw her moving closer, crawling, dragging herself forward, her fingers leaving black streaks that only I could see. At one point, I ducked into a 24-hour McDonald's bathroom, locked the stall, and sat on the closed toilet just to breathe. That's when the air changed. Cold, heavy. My breath came out in clouds. The lights overhead buzzed, then one flickered and died. The sound of dripping water came from the next stall. I peeked under. Empty. But the dripping didn't stop. I pulled out my phone and turned the camera on myself. My face was pale, lips cracked. My eyes were completely black now. No whites at all. And behind me, in the camera, the store door was slowly opening, even though I had locked it. I turned, and there was nothing there, just the door swinging open. But on the mirror above the sink, huge, clawed words scratched into the glass, like someone used their fingernails. "You can't run." The letters were still forming, like invisible fingers were carving them in real time. I bolted out of there without washing my hands. I walked until my legs ached, then ended up on a deserted street, the kind of area with warehouses and broken streetlights. I could hear footsteps behind me, but when I turned, no one was there, just shadows. But they moved wrong, jerkier, like stop motion. Then I felt it, not saw, felt. Fingertips slide along the back of my neck, freezing cold. I spun. Nothing. But the diary was now in my hand again, open, though I didn't remember taking it out. A new page was exposed. The paper looked wet, like it was sweating. The words written there in a thin, black-red ink I'd never seen before. "Give me a voice." My phone buzzed. An unknown number. No text. Just an audio file. I hesitated, then hit play. It was my voice, screaming, but not from now. From the future. Pleading. Begging. "She's here. She's here. She's here." The sound cut off, and then the call ended. I dropped my phone, and it cracked on the pavement. That's when I heard actual footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the far end of the street. A small figure in the dark, moving toward me, head twitching like a broken marionette. I couldn't run. My body wouldn't move. My jaw locked. She came closer until I could see her face clearly in the dim light. A gray, cracked mask of skin, lips shredded back to the gums, eyes like pits of oil. Her hands reached out, and when she touched my chest, I felt my heartbeat stop for half a second. Then she opened her mouth and exhaled into me. It wasn't air. It was like cold smoke, and it poured into my throat until I choked. My voice left my body. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Nothing. Her nails pressed against my cheeks, and she tilted her head, studying me, then whispered without moving her lips, "Write their name, or you're mine." The diary's page fluttered in the wind, though there was no wind. Blank space, waiting. The pen I'd used before slid out of my pocket on its own and landed in my palm, and I realized what she wanted. Not just my name, not just another name. She wanted my voice to call someone, to draw them in. My phone screen lit up again. Instagram notifications. My last TikTok had gone viral. Millions of views, comments pouring in. Everyone wanted to know what happened with the diary. Everyone wanted me to go live. She was going to use me to bring more people in. I backed away, clutching the diary, my throat burning from the cold smoke she'd forced into me. Her fingers twitched like she was already tasting them. The next names, the next lives. I stumbled into an alley behind an abandoned gas station and dropped to my knees. I tried to tear the diary apart with my bare hands. The leather cover peeled like skin, but underneath wasn't paper anymore. It was soft, warm, beating, like a heart. When I ripped at it, it screamed in my head, not out loud, in my head. A child's voice, mixed with something deeper, older, thousands of whispers layered over each other. It begged me to stop. It promised me freedom if I just wrote one name. I thought about the waitress, about the people in the diner, about my mom at home. All of them possible names. All of them people who had nothing to do with this. My hands were shaking so hard the pen clattered to the ground. Then I felt a second heartbeat. Not mine. Hers. Right behind me. Her hand landed on my shoulder. I turned, and she was right there, crouched, her mouth opening wider and wider until her jaw cracked, a sound like breaking bones. Inside her mouth, it wasn't a throat. It was a tunnel of mirrors, and in every mirror I saw myself, my reflection staring back, eyes black, screaming silently. I dropped the diary. It hit the ground, and blood, actual blood, splashed out across the concrete. She leaned closer, her hair brushing my face like wet rope, and whispered, "You can't leave me. You brought me out." I tried to run, but she was already everywhere. Her fingers stretched along the walls, her shadow covering mine. The last thing I remember from that night is her face inches from mine, eyes swallowing me whole, and then my vision went black. I woke up hours later under a bridge, my phone dead, the diary back in my hands. On the page, written in my handwriting, even though I hadn't touched a pen, "You are mine now. Speak, and they will come." I still can't talk. My voice is gone. My throat is raw, but nothing comes out. And now, when I open Instagram, there are live videos playing from my account, even though I'm not streaming. They show me, but not here. They show me standing in a dark room, holding the diary, smiling with black eyes, and the comments are full of usernames. Millions of them. Names. She has them all. This isn't just me anymore. This is her spreading. And I think tonight she's going to make me write the first one. I don't know how long I was under that bridge before I realized my phone was turned on again. I hadn't touched it. It just glowed in the dark, screen cracked, battery at 66%, like it had never died. The Instagram app was open, live streaming. Thousands of people were watching. Hearts and comments were flying across the screen. My hands were in the frame, the diary open on my lap, pen hovering over a blank page. My black eyes stared back from the camera, but I wasn't the one holding it. I wasn't moving at all. My body was, but not me. When the stream ended, the comments burned into my vision like afterimages. People typing their own names in the chat, like it was a game, like it was a challenge. They thought it was fake. They thought it was just some next level horror, ARG. The diary pulsed under my fingers like a living organ. The page rippled wetly. Letters began to seep up from the paper in a dark, sticky fluid. Write one. It wasn't a suggestion anymore. It was a demand. I dropped the pen. My fingers wouldn't obey me. They picked it back up, my wrist twisting on its own. I felt a cool pressure on the back of my neck, like her palm was there, guiding me. My hand hovered above the page, and for the first time since this started, she spoke out loud. Her voice wasn't just in the air. It was in the concrete under my knees, in the echo of passing cars, in the back of my skull. Hundreds of voices all layered into one, the way a crowd sounds before it erupts. Write the first name. My vision blurred. My heart was hammering, but my hand moved like it belonged to someone else. I thought of random strangers, usernames from my comments. My own mother's name flickered across my mind. My cat, the waitress. Every time I tried to fight it, my body seized up harder, like ice forming in my veins. The diary's page began to bulge and stretch like skin. A mouth formed there, wet and trembling, whispering, "Just one. Give us just one." I started to cry, not sobbing, silent, shaking tears. My jaw clenched so tight, I thought my teeth would crack. And then she appeared, crouched directly across from me, on the wet concrete. Not a reflection, not an apparition. Flesh and bone. Her fingers were so long now, they bent like spider legs. Her hair hung in strings. Her face was splitting wider with each breath, revealing teeth underneath like broken glass. She didn't blink. She leaned in until her forehead touched mine. Cold. She whispered into my mouth, not my ear. "Write it, or you'll never wake up again." I felt something crawling under my skin. Tiny legs, like insects moving just beneath the surface. My veins burned. My throat vibrated, but no sound came out. My eyes rolled back, and when they opened, the pen was already moving. I don't know whose name I wrote. It wasn't someone I knew. Just a name that surfaced in my head, like it was pushed there. As soon as the last letter hit the page, the mouth on the diary opened wider and swallowed the ink. The name dissolved. The page turned black. From somewhere far away, a scream echoed. Not here. Not now. Like a phone line opening to a murder you can't see. High, sharp, and then cut off. She sighed. Actually sighed. Her head tilted back. Her shoulders rose and fell like she was breathing for the first time. Then she smiled at me. Her teeth were all wrong. Too many. Too sharp. Her gums black. "You're learning," she said, and her voice was softer now, almost gentle. "More. We are hungry." I fell forward onto my hands and knees, retching. Black fluid poured from my mouth, splattering onto the concrete. It smelled like rust and wet soil. It moved on its own, crawling back toward the diary. She reached out and stroked my hair, like a parent comforting a child. Her nails scraped my scalp, and I felt skin tear. "You're mine," she whispered, "but you can still be more than mine. You can be my voice." I stumbled away from her, but she didn't move. She just crouched there, head tilting from side to side, watching. When I got to my feet, I realized my phone was streaming again. The comments were full of names, thousands of names. People begging me to say their names, daring me to summon her. And my black eyes stared back at me from the screen, smiling even though my mouth wasn't. By the time I reached the street, every screen I passed, ATM machines, gas pumps, even the digital menu boards at a closed Starbucks, flickered with my face. My black-eyed reflection staring out, holding the diary, lips moving in silent whispers, and each screen had a single line of text beneath it. "Write more." I can't stop seeing her. She's in every dark window. She's in every puddle. She's walking just behind my shadow. And last night, when I finally closed my eyes, on the floor of some stranger's stairwell, she pressed her mouth to my ear and hissed, "We'll feed again tomorrow." When I woke up, the diary was open on my chest, 10 blank lines waiting, and under it, written in my own blood across the concrete, "You are next." I didn't write that, but it's my handwriting. I don't remember opening my eyes that morning. I just remember standing in front of my phone's camera, already live. The diary was open in my hands. My voice, gone for days, had returned, but it wasn't mine anymore. It came out low and layered, like 3 people whispering through my throat at once. My mouth formed words I didn't choose, speaking in a language I didn't know. On the screen, thousands of people were watching. The viewer count ticked upward faster than it ever had before. It was in the millions. Comments scrolled by so fast they blurred. People begging me to do the Bloody Mary thing again, spamming their names, daring me to summon the girl. They thought this was a show. Behind me, in the frame, the room was wrong. It looked like my bedroom, but everything was pale and slick, like it was made of wet paper. The windows had been replaced by mirrors. They pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. The diary felt heavier than ever. Its cover throbbed like a heartbeat. The pages were damp, sticking to my fingers. Each blank line on the paper had a faint pulse under it, like veins waiting to be filled. She was behind me, but also inside me. Her cold breath slid along my spine, guiding my hands. She whispered things I didn't understand into my ear, but my mouth spoke them anyway. The comments slowed. People stopped typing jokes. They were typing things like, "Why can't I move? My lights just went out. Something's at my window." I looked at the screen. In every viewer's little profile icon, their face had been replaced by a pale blur with black eyes. I tried to close the app, but my fingers wouldn't obey. They started writing names across the diary page, one after another, faster than humanly possible. Names poured out of me like water from a broken pipe. Each time a name hit the page, the paper swallowed it. In the live chat, that user disappeared. No trace. The comments left behind were full of people screaming. In the mirrors behind me, shapes started to crawl out. Thin gray arms, hands dragging along the glass. The girl's face multiplied. Dozens of her, hundreds, all pressing their mouths to the mirror's surface, smearing black liquid across it. She was feeding. I could feel it. Every time another name vanished, my body jolted like an electric current had run through it. My veins burned cold. My eyes rolled back. People in the comments were saying their phones were vibrating non-stop, their cameras turning on by themselves. Some said their mirrors were fogging over, that they could see her behind them. And then, without warning, my phone's speaker erupted with screams, not from the viewers, from somewhere else. High-pitched, desperate, overlapping, like hundreds of people calling for help, all at once. The screen glitched. The stream split into dozens of little boxes, each showing a different room. Bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens. People frozen, staring at their screens, their eyes black, their reflections moving out of sync. She was no longer behind me. She was in every one of them. The diary pages turned by themselves. More blank lines, more waiting veins. My hands cramped, but kept writing. In one of the boxes on my screen, I saw my own mother sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at her phone. Her eyes were already black. My stomach dropped. I tried to scream, but my mouth only smiled. She whispered through my teeth, "All yours now." All ours. The room around me began to collapse inward, like paper burning from the edges. The mirrors swelled and burst, spilling black water across the floor. Hands reached out of the puddles, pulling themselves forward. Small gray shapes crawled out, dozens of them, their mouths open, but no sound. They were the names. They had faces, each one a person I had written. They dragged themselves toward me, mouths opening wider and wider until their jaws split, their black eyes rolling back. They began to crawl up my legs, their nails digging into my skin, but I couldn't move. She stepped through the largest mirror, taller now, her hair trailing behind her like wet ropes, her hands outstretched. Her mouth opened all the way to her chest, showing rows of teeth like splintered glass. She bent down until her face was level with mine. Her eyes were bottomless pits. "Voice," she hissed. "Be my voice forever." I felt her fingers press against my chest. My ribs cracked like twigs. Something inside me shifted. Cold spilled into my lungs, my veins. My vision doubled, then tripled. I saw myself from above, from behind, from her perspective. On the screen, the stream went black for a second. When it came back, I wasn't there anymore. She was. Her face filled the frame, black eyes staring straight into the lens, mouth curling into a slow, impossible smile. and then the stream cut off. I woke up in an empty room. No phone, no diary, just a cracked mirror leaning against the wall. My reflection stared back at me. Black eyes, smile I couldn't control. Behind my reflection, she moved, and then my reflection spoke, even though I didn't. "You're next." I looked down. My hands were covered in writing, names I didn't recognize, scrawled all over my skin in black ink, and under each name, faintly, a heartbeat. Now every time I blink, I see her pulling herself through another screen, another mirror. She's not a story anymore. She's a contagion. And I think when you read this, she's already behind you. Because this wasn't just my story. This was the last stream. And you're already in it.